Hello, my dear parents. In our conversations in a quarter, today we have Rupa Nagarajan. She is a counseling psychologist, especially for adolescents and young people, and also for family. And she specializes in the area of gender, choice of genders, and sexual orientation. So, thank you so much for coming to for this conversation, Rupa. I think this is a conversation that we need to have more and more so that we understand about sexual orientations and its effects, and how important it is as parents to stand by your children, irrespective of what their orientation is. So this is going to be invaluable. Thank you, Rupa. Quickly tell us a little bit about your journey of how you became a counseling psychologist.
Thanks, Vimal. Okay, so my journey. So I was also brought up in a very, very straight-jacketed, heterosexual, heteronormative, cisnormative society, where I grew up as this girl who grew up, fell in love with this rocker kind of person, and we got married, and we had 2 kids, corporate life, family, job, go out on weekends, eat out at restaurants. And this went on for 10 years. Our life was really beautiful. It was all amazing. And after 10 years, actually precisely on my birthday, my partner came out to me saying she was trans. And it was like a bombshell that was dropped. Initially, there was confusion. She first thought that she had confusions regarding her sexual orientation, and later on with therapy and counseling, we kind of figured out that it is actually a gender identity crisis. And it's been, I would not say it's been a very, hunky-dory kind of journey. It took us a lot of time, and the only way that I could understand any of this was with psychology. So that's when I took to psychology as a crutch, as a support system. And I'm glad that I did, because the more I read and the more people I met, I understood how wrong my own prejudices, stereotypes, assumptions rather. I always thought that I was this really cool person who knew everything about everything. But then I think when I started this journey, I understood that there's so many assumptions in my head that are not right. And I'm glad we took this journey, because I think today we're happier than we were before, because each of us gets to live our actual identity.
Thank you so much. I think that speaks volumes about who you are, because when normally when we face a challenge, especially like this, so you already had a family, 2 children, and then you are when you are hit with this challenge, you took a stand of finding out more, and you chose, I would use the word, you chose to stick with the person whom you loved, irrespective of what her choice was. So hats off to you for that. And I think that is the message. One of the key messages to all parents is that just because you don't know does not mean that there is no solution. If you do not know, all you have to do is find out more. Ignoring and living in denial is not going to be helpful for either you or for your family. So when I was growing up, I heard of gay and lesbian, and now we hear about, I heard about LGBTQ, then there is LGBTQIA, and then in our offline conversation, you said it is LGBTQIA plus. So can you quickly give us a brief idea about what these are?
Right. So if we were to really get into terminologies, I think we'll be doing this show over weeks and weeks and months together, right? So because primarily the term comprises gender and sexual orientation, right? So when we're talking gender, then we're talking, cisgender, the person who is born male with male genitals identifies male, which by the way is not part of this, because by default we have assumed that, okay, that is normal, so that doesn't need to be included. And then you have your transgender people, you have intersex people, you have people who can identify as agender, in the sense that they don't necessarily identify with any gender. They're genderless. They don't want to identify with any gender. You have bigender, trigender. There are way too many terminologies. And Again, in terms of sexual orientation, earlier there were lesbian women, gay men. Now lesbian is considered politically incorrect. So there are gay men and women. There are bisexual people, pansexual people, demisexual people. So the terminologies is something that we're kind of getting lost in right now. And we can keep getting lost in it. We can keep theorizing about it and about who wants what, when, where, why, who's doing what in the bedroom, etc. But I think the more important thing is to just understand that a person's choice of gender, sexual orientation, or how they choose to express it is really their own. It's a sense of identity from within. It's what they're feeling from within. It need not necessarily be written in stone at any point of time in life, and it can vary over a lifetime based on exploration, based on what they're feeling from inside, and based on how they choose to express it. Like a transgender person may or may not choose to, take a medical form of treatment or undergo surgery, and yet their identity from within is something that they know. So I guess it's just about us kind of accepting that you need not be okay and well versed with all the terminologies, as long as you're inclusive and you understand that it's fine. It's every individual's choice.
Right. One of the things that most parents have is if at all they feel that there is a different choice that the child is making, or a child is oriented differently, they desperately want to fix the child. इसको ठीक कर दो types. ये भटक रहा है, इसको थोड़ा ठीक करो. गलत संगत जा रहा है types. So my question to you is for from most parents is it a condition that can be treated, that can be cured? Can they change somebody's identity that's coming from within to choose what society accepts as normal?
Right. So, to answer that, the very fact that we're talking about or even questioning about, Galat Sangat or being treated shows that our understanding of normal itself is very, very skewed and very, very screwed up. Right. So, we have assumed by default that we are all born in a cis normative world, and so that bell curve is the only thing that is supposed to be considered normal. And we've also assumed that because the heterosexual relationship kind of furthers the human race, which can actually take a break now probably for a while, and so that is the only normal that is supposed to exist. And because of this misunderstood meaning of normal that we've had, a lot of the populations amongst all of us, right, have always lived a life of frustration and feeling closeted and feeling isolated, while we kept gloating about, oh my God, this is so normal and this is so fine. And no, it's not a condition. It is as normal as anything else. So that is why it's called a universe, right? Anything that exists in the universe is normal, is supposed to exist, is supposed to be there. And it is there for a reason, because it's there. It's got its own identity. So no, there is not, this is not a condition at all to treat, or that should even be considered as a condition to be treated. The medical fraternity, the psychiatric fraternity, my own fraternity has for a long time been responsible for a lot of corrective therapies and stuff like that, which were all pretty much atrocities. And now the past 2-3 decades have been working on righting the wrongs of earlier. So no, it's not a condition to be treated. It's more a condition that we need to understand as normal. Like we are the ones who make that treatment, change our
Right.
perception of normal.
Absolutely. Uh, because I feel that if we don't change our perception, like I said earlier, the people whom we are going to hurt most is the people whom we claim to love the most, our children or our loved ones, because that's what matters in the long run. Now, what is your advice for parents who have children who have this identity crisis, and second is what is your advice to parents in general, because parents other parents are equally responsible for having a stigma attached to this any kind of sexual orientation. So what is your advice to all the parents?
What is my advice to parents of queer kids, you're asking me, or parenting in
Both,
general?
one by one.
If you, I'm guessing that it should not even require your child to kind of come out, per se, that way. So as long as we've kind of fostered and provided an environment at home where conversations about gender and sexuality become normal, where it's okay to discuss confusions, it's okay to discuss exploration, it's okay to kind of today feel one thing and tomorrow not feel comfortable with that, and it's okay to have tried and failed and been made fun of, felt bad, and then gone back to feeling that no, but that's me, right? All this happens should ideally happen with the comfort of family, with the comfort that no matter what, my people are going to be there with me, and my people are going to be that safety net for me. So I think if we can provide that safety net for our kids, apart from, yes, of course, we provide for them, and yes, of course, we put a roof over their head, and that's primarily been our choice. But this is something that we need to do for our kids, which is going to help build their own identity. So just if we could kind of have an environment at home that is not gendered in the first place, right? That doesn't talk of boys in a particular context and girls in a particular context, like the male is the provider, the female is the caregiver, or no, boys don't play this or girls don't play this, etc., etc. And let them just choose what they want to, let them be however they want to, because I think that process of exploration becomes very, very important to kind of minimize the pain and frustration and the isolation in the future when they grow up to be adults. So I think it's most important for us to have an open communication kind of family setup where it's okay for them to come and talk about all this. Like, I remember that when we were kids, if there was a kissing scene in some film, everybody would get uncomfortable. It's
Yes.
just two people kissing, it's so now I know we've gotten way beyond all that, but this is still taboo, like you said, right? And this kind of needs to become part of normal everyday dinner time conversations, this kind of communication. So I think, yeah, that's the one thing that as a household, as parents, we need to do.
All right. So thank you so much for this time. So lastly, let me know, how can parents reach out to you if they want to discuss more
Right.
at a
So
confidential.
I can't hear you. What?
So they may not want to have a general discussion, but they may want to have a one-on-one discussion with you.
Right, right. So I currently practice in Bangalore. Thanks to COVID, it's pretty much online sessions. So you can reach out to me on rupa.nagarajan@gmail.com, rupa.nagarajan @gmail. And then we could probably share numbers and connect further. If you want a personal session, hopefully COVID done, we could do that too. But I would urge families to kind of educate themselves about this, parents to educate themselves about this. And actually, it's okay to go seek help. To, if you think that your child is kind of not doing fine, it's okay to help your child explore, and for you yourself to kind of come and just talk to someone and understand the various confusions. It's quite normal for parents also to have confusions. We're all messing up all the time. So I think that understanding is very, very important. And hopefully in the future, the perception of normal will change soon.
I'm sure. I'm sure. So thank you so much, Rupa, once again for this conversation. I really appreciate you sparing time for
Yeah,
us.
thanks, Bimal. It's a great initiative.